So, of course, the next step for us was the ability to take that data and do something with it for payroll. So what's been happening up until now is that we would run a crystal report that would show all this information, and then someone in our finance staff would have to sit at the computer and go to the payroll software and basically rekey all the information into the system. So part of the grant is to take this information and dump it into, in our case, our ADP software. So this is what, we have a crystal report that generates a CS file, which is what this Excel spreadsheet is based off of, that we can then just import all this information directly into ADP. So, for example, like this particular person, they have 32 hours of regular pay, and they have 2 hours of personal leave, and they have 1 hour of sick leave. And I have to go through all these codes and see what they all mean, but maybe it's 1 hour of sick leave and 15 hours of vacation. This person had 80 hours of regular and 5.75 of overtime, et cetera, et cetera. But instead of retyping all this information, it's all just getting dumped right into our ADP software. And once it's in there, of course, if there still may be some minor corrections that need to be made, and you can go in and you're basically verifying the data rather than retyping it all. So we're saving a significant amount of time on that end. And the last thing that we did was for leave reports. Since all of our activities, since all of our timesheets are submitted through the Pika system, we can use the data in Pika to track people's leave time. We don't no longer need to track it separately. So, of course, the key is to have a report that gives us that information. So this is a sample report. I sort of hid the name and their start date and how long they worked, so you couldn't figure out who this was if you knew these people. But so this first page of the report shows the staff person how much annual leave they've used so far this year, and what the dates were, and then how much personal leave. And if they've taken other kinds of leave, it'll show up on this report. If they haven't taken leave, then it just suppresses those sections of the leave report that they haven't used, just to save space and paper. So if they wanted to print it out. And then the second page of their report shows their current balances. So in our case management system, we record the carryover balances from the previous year once our finance department tells us what those carryover balances are. And then we accrue the leave automatically through, again, this is all done through formulas and crystal reports. And we then take how much leave was used based on the approved activity records from the case management system and what their current balance is. So again, it used to be the staff had to go and wait for finance to figure out what their leave balance is, and now as soon as their supervisor approves their time, they can run this report and see for themselves what their balance is. And finance tracks this as well, and so everybody should be, they should all be reconciled and match up. And if there's not, then we can try to figure out what's going wrong, but we don't think that'll be an issue. So. And that is the leave report, and that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Steve. I'm going to take this back now, the screen, and then, of course, we'll have our question and answers in a moment or two here. And let's get this to people. So you guys should see my screen. You see that, Steve?
Yep.
Okay. So in terms of measurement of time savings and lessons learned from this, we are doing a survey of staff in the next milestone period to get more of a more quantitative idea of what that time savings is. We're going to use SurveyMonkey to do that. And that, again, will give us information on how this has impacted payroll staff and the activities that they have been doing. Questions can go to Steve and McGarrity There's his email address and phone number, and to me as well, if it's a project management type of question. If you do have questions, if you can go ahead and put those in the questions box now, we can take a look at that. Kind of open it up a little bit here. Any questions? Going once, twice. I'm not seeing any questions in the box. Again, if you think of any, you can certainly email Steve after the call. This presentation is being recorded, so it will be available on the LSNTAP website. I see something in the box here. A couple questions. How does the CSV get transferred? Oh, lots coming in. Get transferred to the payroll system. This is from Kenneth. Steve, you want to say that?
Yeah, it depends on what version of ADP you have. We use the desktop version, and the other programs in the grant are using the web-based version, but it's basically the same idea. You upload the CSV file that has the same name every time to a particular location, and when you launch the software, it knows to grab that file. So when you're on the web screen, you tell it, go look for the file and see if it's in the right location where I uploaded it, and if you're using the desktop software, it just sort of goes and grabs the file from wherever the preference file says to keep it.
And a follow-up question from Kenneth is, what happens when your internet goes down?
We can't watch CNN, I guess. I mean, it doesn't. I guess that I'm not sure I understand the question. If your internet, in what context? Like, what's the concern about that?
Kenneth, if you want to put that concern or what context that is, I'll go ahead to the next question. From Dennis, how do you deal with missing timesheets?
We have a report that shows people who have missing timesheets, and then we hound them to submit them. There's no easy way around that. I mean, that's probably the biggest pain, is that if they don't submit the time, we can't properly automatically import it into the ADP software in that data dump. So that has to get manually entered. Having said that, if somebody does not submit time, then sometimes it's because the manager hasn't approved it, and sometimes they haven't submitted all their time. But we've sort of made a policy decision that unless we know that they weren't at work, we're assuming they were here, we're going to pay them based upon their regular salary and then sort of reconcile it later. Because if you're a legal assistant that works 35 hours a week, absent extraordinary circumstances, you work 35 hours regardless of whether you submitted your timesheet or not. So we're going to pay you, and then we have to do cleanup later to input the leave hours and stuff for old time records outside of the current payroll cycle.
Okay. And to circle back to what Kenneth meant, Pika's internet-based, so if you can't get the info to your system, you can't do payroll. People don't like not getting paid.
Oh, well, I guess there's two things on that. The ADP software itself is dependent on the internet to submit it. So I think we've run into that situation where we've been unable to submit the time for some reason or another, and I think ADP has a system where you can call it in and sort of tell it over the phone if you know this right secret code. But in terms of our Pika case management system, we're hosting it internally, so as long as our wide area network is up, then people are able to submit their time. So does the wide area network ever go down? Yes, but usually it's it's not for, it might go down for one of our offices for an hour in a month. So presumably there's plenty of other time to submit it. It doesn't really impact the ability to get paid, I guess is what I would say.
And Kenneth asks, are the data entry flags restrictions user programmable, or do you have to hire a programmer?
No, they're user programmable. So we have like this, like our leave categories all start with an X, and in the settings file in Pika, you can put in there's a special field where you can just type in X1 and then what the minimum requirement is, and X4 and what the minimum requirement is. So you don't if you're running this, it's in your settings file that you don't need a programmer to do.
Okay. We have a couple of questions from Patrick. Do all staff, including those not required to do timekeeping under LSC regulations, track time using this system for payroll purposes?
Yes. Again, we made a policy decision many years ago that we wanted everybody to track their time regardless of whether LSC required it or not. So yes, everybody does.
Okay. Another question is this system used to allocate staff time to grants and/or projects for billing purposes?
We don't use this particular process because this is obviously all about payroll, but we do use the time records for allocating money to various funders on our general ledger.
Okay. Now those are all the questions that I can see in the box. Are there any other questions? We have another question from Dennis. It says, prevent negative leave used more than allowed. It's not necessarily, I'm not sure what the question is, but maybe is it?
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Can somebody submit more leave than they're entitled to? And the answer is yes. It was difficult to calculate in Pika the leave balances, so like on the fly. So we do. That is one check that we do when we're going to submit it to ADP, that they actually have a leave balance available. So that's part of the reason to have the leave report that I was showing you, so that we can quickly see whether someone has the leave that they're claiming. So if it shows a negative balance, we know they've taken too much, and that won't get approved.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone wants to put anything in the box? Not seeing anything. Oh, wait, we have one, Patrick. Is Aaron going to make this a feature in Pika?
That's the million-dollar question. I don't know. Do you want to answer that, Cynthia?
Well, I'll say that we are having collaborative conversations with Aaron about this particular feature set and other ones, and making them standard in Pika. So more information about that will come in the future.
Yeah, and I will say, if it's not, most of this stuff is like an add-on that doesn't require a lot of modifications to Pika itself, that you're really just throwing in extra files. I mean, some of the actual time record stuff with the pop-ups for preventing people from putting bad information, those obviously get integrated onto the main, his main activity screens. But like all the report stuff that you see is all, you can just drop it right in and it works.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. There will be a survey to follow up this call, so if it has a couple of questions. If you could complete that for us, that would be great. Again, thank you for your time today. And again, this recording will be posted to the LSNTAP website. And again, thank you to Steve, and everyone have a great afternoon. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.